Bum ba da da dee da da dee da 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 dum. Bum ba dee da dee da da ba da 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 ba dum. Bum ba da dee da 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 dee da 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 dum. Bum ba da dee da ba da 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 dum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to this edition of the Tuesday Telecast from the Joyful Path. Today we are talking to Laurie Seymour, who is a quantum connector and works in the space of quantum leaps. How fun is that? I want to waste no time because Laurie is right out back. So let's just bring her into the house. Well, hello, Laurie, and welcome to the Tuesday Telecast at the Joyful Path.
Lydia, I'm so excited to be with you. I have been looking forward to this. So, yay, we're here.
Yay! So I have been telling people about you and quantum leaps, and it's just such a big thing because a you're human, you're a person just like the rest of us, and yet there's this very big mysterious thing of quantum leaps, which a lot of people aren't going to understand. And if they've had the idea of what a quantum is, it's a very small but very discrete unit of measurement.
hmm hmm
And and I feel like this all plays into the idea of how our inner guidance works, how our universal guidance works, and how these quantums play in. But the leap is this humongous thing. So I just want to dive straight into this
Whew. Okay. And I have no
humongous
idea
thing.
where we're going to go with this. And isn't that wonderful? We're going
Yeah.
to make quantum leaps, probably.
Yeah. So what was the thing that got you first to this place of leaping, of quantum, of your Turaya, which is what you are trained in, the Turaya touch and the Turaya work, and what first brought you to this place of making a shift by just really suddenly being aware of it.
Boy, you've asked, in a way, you've asked a question, but you've asked like 8 questions in one.
Sorry.
Is that what you do? Is that what you do, Lydia? So, oh boy. For me in my life, I always wanted to know what the truth was. And even I think as a younger person, I probably still somewhere in me used that kind of language because I felt like there was something I knew, and then there was the world I lived in, my family, my friends, the neighborhood and school and so on. And they didn't feel connected at all. They didn't feel related at all. In other words, what I thought I knew wasn't accepted, wasn't spoken to, didn't seem real. So I learned to discount what I thought was real inside myself.
Mhm.
Um, and yet, because it was always still there, it was like I forgot it, and yet I didn't forget it. And so I went first into the field of psychology because psychology seemed like the way of starting to explore that which wasn't evident, that which was more hidden. And I was always about what was hidden. And and so that was my career path. And I went into private practice. I was teaching at universities. I was teaching at Europa Institute. That was my journey.
Mhm.
And and that was great because it served me in a lot of ways to learn a lot more about myself of places that I had just packed away.
Mm.
But without going so much into that, it was really in the midst of all of that. And I had started working with music. I know you're an incredible musician, and that's one of the things that I connect to you with you around that in some ways, because that vibration and resonance is such a big part of how I move in my own life. And started using music as a therapeutic tool.
Hmm.
So, and then I met somebody that, in a way, that expanded all that and changed all that all in one fell swoop. That for me, and I've never thought about it this way, that was a quantum leap for me. And the quantum leap was one of, I had an experience with her that brought me into a place that nothing else had ever done, and that I had been looking for and searching for, and not even in a way knowing that I was looking for and searching for. And that place of that had felt so empty despite all of what I was doing. And this, the way in which I looked quite successful, I was. But that feeling of emptiness inside was pretty profound. And when that got touched, when that got illuminated, when that got brought into fullness, it was like, okay, I know I have made this leap. I didn't call it that, but I know that this is completely new and completely different, and I can't go back. I
Mm.
cannot unsee, and would I want to? I didn't. I don't want to unsee, what I had seen.
Right. Unseeing is a very interesting concept because it's exactly comes right back around to where you started, where you wanted to know the truth. You wanted to know what you couldn't see. What
Yes.
was and we have this, we live in a diurnal society. No matter where you are in the world, there's darkness and light in greater or lesser quantities, and
Mhm.
more or less equal quantities, and we have creatures, some of us even human, who are more nocturnal, and some
Mm.
that are more diurnal, and what exists in the other is the part that we don't know if we're sleeping through it. And what exists
Mhm.
in ourselves, what exists outside of our little biosphere, our little ecosystem, our bit larger ecosystem, what exists
Mhm.
out there. And then the questions of what exists when we have medical issues and we go into a different place in our consciousness and say, oh, there's more there than just my body.
Mhm.
These are things that lead us to, if not if not like that everything else was a lie, it's like, oh, everything else wasn't the whole story. What
Yes.
is the whole story? And it's just that thing of darkness, and now you're kind of coming right back around to that.
Mhm.
um has this come about for you more times in your
Oh
life?
my God. Daily. And I laugh about that, but in a way that's really true,
Yeah.
because I feel what my experience has been is that as my vibration shifts, as I open to receive more and more light, as the frequency in my cells shifts, I, who I am is this unknown being, and I have to discover who I am all over again. And
Mm.
it's not throwing anything out. It's just the moreness. It's another piece. It's another aspect. It's another way to view everything. And so while that quantum is the, this tiny, tiny particle. Really, what that references is we can't, how we work with is not linear. How we work with life is not linear. We think we do because we're taught that way, and we kind of put ourselves into that way of relating. Oh, well, we can track that quantum particle as it goes from this dimension to that dimension. Well, no, actually, we can't. We can't know how it suddenly appears over here. Physics has determined that over and over and over again, has shown that.
Yes.
But what we mean by a quantum leap is that we're going somewhere, we get to somewhere, we have an experience, and holy crap, we don't know how we got there. And that for some people is either extremely threatening,
Yeah.
like I got to push this away because it's an unknown, or or it opens us up. It opens us up to say, wait a minute, I think there's more to life and more possibilities here than I understood, than I was allowing. And when we do that, we start to walk on a really different, it's not just a different path, we walk almost multidimensionally. And we're able to play with life in a very different way, like to really step into that field of potentiality, which is what everything is. We live in this field of potentiality.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think about it so much as dark and light as maybe known and unknown.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
just a slightly different metaphor.
Absolutely. I agree. There's something that I've noticed, that when we're conscious of a thing, and we don't have to know how it happens, and when we let go of not needing to know how it happens, because there's a beautiful part to being curious and having,
Yes, yes.
an insatiable need to dive down a rabbit hole, and that's fun too, and that's, I mean,
Mhm.
that's beautiful. A lot of this is about, it's about fun, it's about purpose, it's about curiosity. And when we get to that place of, oh, what happens if I don't know how,
Yeah.
and it helps us to remove our ego, because it's not about us as an individual knowing
Mm.
how. The we are sort of as much of an expert as is possible on our own little
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
system of energy, but everything within the energy that we're a part is the expert on how they move, even including an electron going from spot to spot, going
Mm-hmm.
from on to off, and it appearing, yeah, nothing nothing disappears, it just appears way over there,
And
and
it went through 6 different transformations.
yeah, yeah.
And if we, I love how you're putting that, because if we recognize that, wait a minute, that really is how life works. That really is how we work. We've just been seeing such a minute part of how we live life, how we can live life. And
Hmm.
so you talked in the beginning about inner guidance. And if we want to know how to tap into inner guidance, we have to open up into the unknown,
Yeah.
because we are part of the entire universe. It's not like, oh, the universe is out there and I'm here. Every cell in our body is the kind of the microcosm of that universe, which is known and it's unknown. And it has all kinds of things which haven't even made themselves into something that we can see or touch or know. That's that field of potentiality, the field of what is there in potential energy. And so if we want to tap into that, we have to be willing to expand our ways of perceiving, our ways of receiving. You know, how do we receive?
Mm.
I so often, so whenever when I'm asking a question inside, and because it's something that I'm asking about for my life, and I have to say, I don't know the answer to this. I may think I do, but if I'm willing to set aside that which I think I know, and that allows me to step into that whole field of potential
Mm-hmm.
and to tune into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I truly let myself ask that question from that place of surrendering to not knowing, of surrendering to receiving something brand new, I get to receive something brand new. I get to receive the inner guidance. And it can be something, and this has happened countless times for me, where it's been a not at all what I expected. I'm supposed to do that? And you know this place, and probably all of our listeners do too. I want to say to you all, like, you know this place, but sometimes it happens in such a fast way that you don't pay attention to it or you don't give it credence.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens in a fast way, and it happens it happens in an unnamed way. And we have so many labels for everything in our world. And we're busy with those labels. We're busy. We're very busy creatures. We're raising children. We're making sure that they don't have, allergens in their lunch, and allergens for the next kid in their lunch. We're taking care of spouses and sisters and brothers and parents and uncles and bosses and
And the
HR, and
mortgage.
and whatever.
And
Yeah, and all the, yeah, oh, and right.
yeah.
All the things that need fixing. And then sometimes we will come to that place of it ends up being the least efficient thing of all, but we need to know how to do this, that, and the other thing. And suddenly we're having to know the process of everything that we do, of who gets the peanut free lunch, who gets the EpiPen, who gets the who pays the mortgage,
Okay, I
who.
see what your world has been about.
Well, I've worked with a lot of people, and I actually have had no peanut allergies or EpiPens in my life, but I'm very aware of different people's energies and needs. And I've had those energies and needs for various reasons too. I think we all have.
Yes.
We get very used to the process involved in each of those things, and the how to, and we'll even talk about how to, and the better way to do this, and got to teach you how to do this, and got to teach me how to do this. And then there's the bigger part. There's the when we know how,
Mhm.
we're letting all the rest of that out there. That's the better way, the simpler way, the more energetic way. Once we expand to it, the rest of this isn't really there. All the little instructions, there's a
Hmm.
bigger set of instructions that's guidance and knowledge.
Well, can I say something about that? Because it just reminded me of something
Yeah.
when I was pregnant, which is a long time ago already. Um, I was in Australia. It was my first trimester. I was not feeling too good, but I was very actively, and I did throughout my pregnancy. I did throughout my life, but really so much in my pregnancy. Ask a lot of questions about what I needed to eat and how I needed to eat, and how we're given a set of vitamins and whatever. I asked such specific little questions about when do I need to take that pill? What do I need to take it with? When do I need to take that one? Oh, these are all supplements. Um, what do I need to keep, away from this? And that kind of guidance was that kind of like that really tiny kind of thing,
Yeah.
but was so important. And I couldn't have gotten it from searching on Google.
Right. Yep. True enough. We did look for those things and get them from asking questions, but there's all these different levels of instruction, and it creates a lot of labels. This is how to do this, and this is the expert in that, and these are all true, but
True, true-ish.
but there's this, when you let that go, it can be scary. I mean, this is all to say they can be really scary to say, I don't know how. Suddenly I'm somebody who knows, somebody who's questioning. Or how do we put that in a way that's comfortable for ourselves to?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, and no one's ever asked that and framed it in that way. Because I was always a person who knew, and I prided myself, and I will say that, admit to that, on
Yeah,
knowing.
yeah,
And boy, did that get in my way.
yeah,
And it's simply, it's not like we throw that all out, but that we know that how I think of it is I am nothing by myself, and I am everything in partnership with, I could say it in multiple ways, with my own inner guidance system, with presence, with source, with my higher self, however you want to think of that. And for me, source is like okay, I want to go to source. And so if there is that available in this undifferentiated field of potentiality, and I could just speak about it like that, if just from
yeah,
a standpoint of physics, I have to be willing to say, okay, well, I do know some things, but if I'm willing to go for the bigger picture, the the bigger guidance that's available, then I get to play in that. I get to be curious and ask those questions to realize that there's so much more I don't know. It's like they say we use 10% of our capacity or of our capabilities,
yeah.
that I want to tune into the rest of it. I've always wanted to know about, what am I not using? What could I be using?
Right. If they tell us there are capabilities, that the 90% that's unused, then there are capabilities, we want to use them.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't that fascinating? And aren't we curious? And life brings us those situations that we get the opportunities, whether we like it or not, sometimes,
Right.
to see what that is,
Yeah.
to go into it. And it's, I don't say any of this to say, oh yeah, it's easy, and let's be flip about that, because it's the biggest thing in the world, really.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it is the biggest thing in the world. As you're talking, I'm picturing a gigantic, well, it doesn't matter the size, but a fractal, and and
Hmm.
how, there's the biggest part of the fractal. Let's say it's a swirl, and it has spikes, and it has colors, and all over the outside of it there are swirls with the spikes and the colors, and the outside of that, yeah, ad infinitum, right? And it's like all these little places that we exist when we're staying safe in our little place, or we are or we are where we're supposed to be, or whatever it is. It's not bad, it just is what it is. And if, when we're there and we don't look, that, oh, we're part, there's this bigger fractal, and there's this bigger fractal, and there's this bigger fractal. Yeah, it just, when you're saying that, I'm just picturing just a gigantic fractal, like that life is
Yes,
just a gigantic fractal.
absolutely, absolutely. And we can go inside and get quiet within ourselves and just be very, in a very gentle way, just breathe. Just realize that the breath is intelligence. The breath has the intelligence of the universe. And
Yes.
so the breath knows what to do. We don't have to direct it. We don't have to, we think we could, but truly, if you had to know what gases and what direction and where it needs to go next and which cells to light up, I'd need a PhD plus
Right.
in
Right.
order to be able to tell
Yeah.
myself what to do.
Yeah.
So if we understand that we are a part of this creative intelligence of the universe, we are not separate from it, but in our thoughts, in our attitudes, we make ourselves separate.
Mm, we do. And sometimes we separate ourselves with things like worry,
Mm,
regret, and the places where we come to say, oh, this might not happen in the right way, or oh, this is happening in very much the wrong way, or
mm,
oh, I didn't do that right and I wish I
yes,
had. and,
yes,
and
yes.
these take us out, these separate us out, like as like a finger on our hand, which is part of the whole body, and it always was, but deciding that, oh, we're not going to move in that way anymore because we are living back in that injury that we had. And
Yeah,
we
it's
have.
like, oh, the finger's wrong.
Yeah, yeah, and as well, no, actually, the whole, when we just incorporate all of the energy of our body, then our finger can get better, right? When with help of movement, with nutrition, with proper hydration, with a lot of energy healing, with possibly vibrational healing, the finger gets better. And so it goes. We also get better when we actually say, no, this isn't all there is inside of us, in this
Mhm,
pain and this regret and this worry, this.
mhm.
So we have the chance to do some sort of a quantum leap at any point on our own, when we just say, no more,
Yeah.
no more. I'm going to go out there and look in and see what's going on.
Or I'm going to go in here and look in and see what's going on.
Yeah, but just
Yeah.
wherever it is, to not be staying in the one sensation and thinking that that's all there is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's not easy.
And that's so potent
Yeah.
when you make that decision, and especially when you make it in the midst of concern or worry, or
Yeah.
when you stop yourself and say, "Wait a minute, uh, I forgot that I am part of this whole big universe, and that there's so much more in me than I am allowing myself to know right now."
Yeah.
And even though I've forgotten, even though I can't get to it, if I shift my attention just ever so slightly to say, I'm willing, I'm willing to open to something new.
Hmm.
I'm willing to ask. I'm willing to say, I don't know, and I would love to know.
Yeah. And that allows us to see. It allows us that perception,
Hmm.
because we're looking into what we don't know, and suddenly we can see,
Yes.
just like in physics, that nobody knew
Hmm.
that there were quantum jumps happening in physics until we started to observe it, and then we said, holy crow, how can that happen? and
Yeah,
and
and we can't even exactly observe it.
we
We can't
can't.
observe the process. We can observe the end. Oh my God, I've just gotten enlightened.
Right. But as far as we knew otherwise, if we're just watching one certain point, we might say, I must have missed that because it wasn't there a moment ago and now it is.
Yes,
Or
yes, yes.
yeah, and we say, wait, but but why? Wait, but what more? Wait, but and then we
Mm,
suddenly can perceive.
Do we see
Yes.
it? No, but do we perceive it? Yes.
You know what you were just saying makes me think of how we can talk ourselves into limitation.
Yeah.
Just without any kind of expertise. I think we're all experts actually at talking ourselves into limitations, into the smallest picture possible.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is, and explaining it away and not opening to, this is what people think about in terms of miracles.
Mm.
And the miracles, especially, I guess, the small m miracles are those things that they're there, they're happening. And are we going to pay attention? Are we going to like open the descriptors, the labels? Are we going to maybe throw off the labels? And I
Yeah.
really liked what you were saying about that, about
Yeah.
how we label things. And labeling can be a way of limiting them.
It can be. When we're willing to look at what's in that label as being more more than the label reads.
Yes.
bigger
Yeah.
bigger than that, or taking off the labels. It's such a just that in itself is such a beautiful and freeing exercise, and
Mm-hmm.
gives us so much richness, so much ability to appreciate new things, and bring us to new ways of healing, new ways of growing. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you definitely, when you talk about that the labels are actually keeping us bound sometimes in this small way until we step out. It's so potent. But the funny thing is, and this is this is kind of a funny question, but we, let's say there's this whole universe of energy, and we we evolved, we became our earth roaming, cave dwelling human selves, and we have all this inner memory of protecting ourselves from Siberian
Mm-hmm.
tigers, from mastodons, from things that may or may not have been hunting us at the time, and from one another and our
Mm-hmm.
egocentric selves, until we became a little more ethnocentric, and then fighting off the other tribes, and all the things, so that we were on high alert.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have this high alert as part of our cell imprint, and how
Mm-hmm.
we are supposed to be in order to keep ourselves safe. But we say, oh, I don't need that. I can acknowledge what danger there is, and then I can trust myself to, that's a danger. Now I can go on and not have to live in, fear, with the fire in my eyes, or the the big bad whatever's in my mind.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about this, um which is a tenet of so much um of wellness, of mental health, of saying, yeah, yeah, there's a good reason for you to be cautious about this, and you that's a lot of pre-programming. You don't have to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, you've brought up this point of that we all seem to do it. We're all experts at that, which would point to us being cave people with
Mm-hmm.
mastodons and Siberian tigers and things, It, where did that, if we have always been part of that energy, then what is the part of us that has had to go through that transformation? And I don't necessarily expect an answer to this, because it's just like a
Well, it's
curiosity, but you might have an
I
interesting
know.
answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any answer, but and if we think about it from a neurological perspective,
Yeah.
You know, the amygdala part of the brain is that which is that fight or flight.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got all those patterns that, but that's been a part of our human development, is to come through that and to perhaps live lifetime after lifetime of learning and of remembering, of coming back into that place where we know we are not separate. And to me, that's where I'm going. Is that place where I know intimately in every moment that I am not separate, and that any
Yeah.
dis-ease, any suffering comes from that place of where I forget.
Mhm.
And I do. I'm human. I forget.
Heck, yeah.
And
I forget where my glasses are all the time, and then I have to
well,
comb my
yeah,
hair.
and I forget that connection. Forget my glasses, yes, but and as we've evolved as humans, and then the prefrontal cortex developed, and that gives us the capacity. It's one thing that gives us capacity to say, you know what? There aren't any mastodons roaming around. There's no saber-toothed tigers. So maybe we don't have to even be scared at all.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, we can think about it more real, more kind of present day. If we had a parent that was, let's say, angry all the time, um, and we don't have that around us, we say, and yet we come into a relationship and we say, when they get all, maybe they get angry. Anger is a normal thing to be at one moment or another. And we can remind ourselves that that's just the immediate, that's the old response, that's the amygdala kicking in.
Yeah.
And that we have choice, we can breathe, we can remember, we can know of our own interconnection.
Yeah. Yeah. For a lot of people, there's also the stopping part of the, fight, flight, or freeze,
Breathe.
the which comes out in a lot of people as fawning and pleasing, and sometimes that will be that's something that we can stop as well. We can actually, we can flee, we can just walk away, we can go to where, things are better, and we start to learn these little things. It's still another thing that I hear in this story, and however deeply we feel it, it's still story. It's our story of how we have been, and who we have been, and who our ancestors have been, that we have always had a curiosity. That's the very reason all the different ways of being that are so similar all the way around the world, all the ways of finding God, but naming God something different,
Mm-hmm.
because we were in a different place, and we were looking for something. We said, there's something bigger than ourselves. Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they here? What do I have to do? And we were all
Mm-hmm.
asking the same questions. And it's the same question that we ask now. Just, is this all there is? And it's a question that humans ask. I think we've
And
always asked it.
well, I don't even ask that question anymore. I don't think I do.
Yeah.
Because I know there's more.
Right.
I I
But
know there.
until we do, that's how we see it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't, even though I'm not in that place of asking that particular question,
Yeah.
I know there's more. And so I don't feel like I'm seeking it. I'm more about discovering. I'm more about, wow, how do I get to see more and more and be more and more of who I really am, open to more and more about what my potential is, um, discover more about how things truly work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of what I think about as inner law, as
Yeah.
that as distinct from outer law, having to do with what, we know outer law, how the world works, how, the traffic lights work,
Right,
and
right.
yeah. But that there actually are ways that are more about how life works, truly
Mm-hmm.
works.
Mm-hmm.
And as we discover those, as we allow that, there's more possibility that opens up.
Yes. Yes, a lot more possibility. This is such a beautiful conversation, and it really um it speaks to that possibility in each of us that we all we each have, and we all have together, we each have. Laurie, you have kind of bouncing a little bit here. You have written books, and I'd like to actually hear about what is your most, what do you think is your most popular book and why?
No, I've been part of group books, so I'm not
Okay.
even going to talk about them.
Okay.
Um, Hopefully, my most popular will be the one that's going to come out in April.
That I know is coming, but I'm part of group books too, but so what is the message that you been giving the same kind of message in your books?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, and I mean, in all sorts of different permutations. And as I come into something new, I realize how I'm saying it is different, and because what I know is now different, what I've
Yeah.
been given is now different,
Yeah.
and that I think the foundational piece is the unconditional love, and it goes right back to what I experienced. I didn't call it that when I was talking to you about this earlier, but it's what I experienced in that first opening or initiation with my teacher, was this experience of such unconditional love. And it wasn't about her. It wasn't about receiving it from another. It was what I had forgotten when my father died.
Yeah.
Because he was the person that I knew that mirrored that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Not in any overt way, but it was like I came in, we all come in knowing that. We all come in knowing that we come in from that place of an unconditional love. That's that place of where we're not separate.
Right.
And we separate in order to be born,
Yeah.
but with the way I experienced that was that my relationship with my father, having him in my life, I could keep that connection going. I could keep that remembering going of that unconditional love.
Yeah.
And when I lost him, when he died, when I was very young, I forgot.
Interesting. I believe that everything is unconditional love and is the creative energy, which is the potential energy, and is the healing energy. It's all, and that we are that.
Hmm.
That is us.
Hmm.
But then we say, well, And we forget that, and we say we're ugly bags of mostly water. We're this much water, and we're this much. We need these electrolytes, and we need yada
And you
yada
did that
yada.
wrong, and you shouldn't have done that, and you didn't do that good enough.
And pretty
Yeah,
soon we're yep,
we
going
spiraled down
down.
the path of judgment, self-judgment, judging others, thinking we're better than somebody else or somebody else is better than us.
Yeah, yeah. The comparison is a curiosity about what else is going on. Comparison
Oh,
to
yeah.
it, no, because there's no point. It's different. It's the same. It has different reasons for being. It has some of the same reasons for being, and it looks different and acts different because it's not you, and that's okay.
And you have a different set of notes that you play than I do.
Yeah,
Wow, isn't that cool?
yeah, yeah. There's so much there. I've grown to embrace uh, what I used to not like, to
That.
acknowledge that I embraced for a while, and that's the path of least resistance. I said, "Oh, that was a lazy thing that I did." Oh no, it wasn't. Oh
Mm.
no, it wasn't. There was so much. But whatever we choose, we'll come
Mhm.
around, and learn what it is we need to learn. We might take a little longer if we say, "Oh, I'm not gonna
But
do
what's
that."
longer? I mean, what does that even mean? Yeah.
Yeah, we choose different ways and we take turns, and we're
Mhm.
gonna be okay. We are okay.
We are okay.
We're
We are
really,
okay.
we're all okay. And you can hem and haw at that all you want, but
And if you start from that place, if you say, okay, I don't know what the heck she's talking about, but let me just play with that. And if I play with that idea, I'm okay.
yeah,
What could that mean? How could I then see myself differently? How could I relate to life differently? How could I relate to the things that seem really, really challenging right now?
yeah,
If I'm okay, what does that open up? What does that create space for to see it differently
yeah,
and to be with it differently?
yeah. And that's kind of the place that I play in, the space of the sounds and the energy and the feelings and the lights and the colors, and are all just delicious and create a different
Mm.
space.
No.
Laurie, this has been a beautiful conversation. Thank you for explaining to us your world of beauty and of possibility, and your sort of playground that you pretty much, I see you skipping through this playground, and sometimes you might trip and skin your knee, but
And then I look at what was that about? Not in a judgment, but in like, oh, huh.
yeah,
I mean, I've had more than my share of skin knees.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there it's
And we
okay.
learn from every one of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. And
Mm. You are so welcome.
and I hope that everybody out there who wants to connect to Lori will find the information down in the show notes. So thank you. Until next time.
Bye bye.
I want to thank you all for being part of the audience for this, and the audience ongoing into the future. If you are interested in connecting to me, my stuff is always down in the show notes and up above on this channel. And if you are interested in connecting to Laurie and learning more about how to bring this play into your life and this awareness of what more there is, you can get in touch with Laurie down in the show notes. So do go down there. Let me know what you think of this. Please leave messages, leave comments after the fact. And also, if you know somebody who has lifted themselves and is lifting others by that, and it's bringing them to their own joyful path, which is what we do on this channel, all the different ways to the joyful path, please let me know. Could be a volunteer in your church, in your community. It could be someone at work. It could be you. So reach out. And if you liked this, please hit like. And if you have not done it yet and you want more, please ever so gently push the subscribe button. I appreciate you. And I will see you next week on the Tuesday telecast. Ciao.
Bum ba da da dee da da dee da 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 dum. Bum ba dee da dee da da ba da 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 ba dum. Bum ba da dee da 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 dee da 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 dum. Bum ba da dee da ba da 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 dum.